Hello, Boibles and Gurgles. A couple of students have asked about what the answer to the following debatable question is. If a firm is experiencing significant economies of scale and no diseconomies of scale, is it likely to be facing many competitors in the long run? Well, the answer to that is no. It's not really a debatable question. It's more of a tricky question or a think things through type question. Okay, so why is the answer no? Let's say we started with a pre-existing firm. There's a single firm that's entered the market and it enjoys substantial economies of scale and no diseconomies of scale. That means that its long-run average total cost curve will be downward sloping as far as the eye can see. There are no diseconomies of scale which would cause the long-run average total cost curve to begin to slope upwards. Now, because that's the case, this firm's average total cost curve will be extending over the entire range of the market demand curve. So, in other words, the firm can produce any quantity that is demanded in the marketplace at ever lower average cost. Just one firm could do that. Let's say, for fun, this firm decides to produce the quantity Q. It knows that it can charge the price P, that price being the highest price consumers are willing to pay, given by the market demand curve. Our question is whether this firm is going to make any profit, and we can see that the firm will make profit because the average total cost in the long run of producing quantity Q will be given by the long run average total cost curve. Here we can see that the price per unit in the long run is greater than the cost per unit in the long run. So we know the firm is generating profit per unit in the long run. Then it's simply a question of calculating the profit per unit multiplied by the quantity produced, and we can see the firm is making profit. So far, so good. Now you might say, if there is economic profit being generated here, this will attract new firms to the market. Well, let's think about that a little bit more. Let's imagine this potential newcomer. Let's say the potential newcomer says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to produce at least half of the total quantity that's currently being demanded in the market. I'm going to steal, or in other words, I'm going to try and steal half of the demand from the existing firm. So that's at Q divided by 2, so half of the quantity Q. But remember, this potential newcomer can't charge a higher price than P because they won't get any customers if they do that. Everyone will stick with the original pre-existing firm. They will have to charge the same price as the pre-existing firm if they hope to get any customers for the quantity that they're producing, this Q divided by 2. However, you can see the problem here, because what's the cost per unit to this potential newcomer by producing Q divided by 2? Well, that's given by the long run average cost curve, assuming this firm, this newcomer, has the same long run average total cost curve, which is an assumption in itself, but let's say they do. Then the cost of producing that per unit is going to be higher than the price that they're forced to charge per unit. Or in other words, they're going to be making a loss per unit by producing this quantity. Now, if you were one of the potential newcomers and you, quote unquote, gamed this out and thought it through, would you say to yourself, yes, let's enter that market, steal half the customers, make a loss? No, that's not rational decision making, going into a market in order to make a loss. Rather, what you will do with whatever resources you happen to possess already is you'll look around for a better opportunity than this. You won't seek to enter this market. The upshot of this is that the downward sloping long run average cost curve, the economies of scale enjoyed by the pre-existing firm, effectively act as a barrier to entry to new firms. Because new firms game it out like we've seen here, realise they'd make a loss, and so they avoid trying to break into this market. The pre-existing firm would not face many competitors in the long run. That's the answer to that.